Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to Docu-Sweeties.
We're two longtime friends who discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and docuseries.
Yes, but through our own lens, which can be, it can be coupled, can be throupled, can be divorcing, can be widowed, but can be single. But at the end of the day, hopefully and definitely sweet. Hi. Hey. Hi.
Hello. So today we're talking 90 Day Fiance, Single Life, season 4, episode 9. Tyray shoots his shot, and boy does he. His his
Are you
he's
saying that? How are you saying that? Like, how
because
degree of sarcasm?
yeah, first of all, his brothers don't know
Uh-huh.
what to do, because one of his brother was like, invite her back to the hotel. And he's like, no. And we're all like, no, you
Yeah.
just met her.
Yeah.
And like, she's vibing with you because you have a fucking camera crew with you or whatever in this, whatever. And he's like, oh, I finally feel like comfortable enough to not be shy and to speak with women. And his brothers are like, immediately like, go bring her back. Like, do they not understand that when someone then waits until their 30s to try
No.
to like date people, you don't just like jump on the first girl that you meet? And then we find out she's 25. So I don't know. It's like the brothers are not good at that. And then he's like, you want to have a long distance relationship? They've known each other for 24 hours.
I know that part.
Yeah. And then the
But
whole it's like a lot. It's a lot. But listen, I like
what?
that he said thick girls are it girls.
Mm-hmm.
I liked her vibe. She's like a modern young woman who is like, no, we're not just gonna jump in and do that. Thank you. That's cool though. I like to be free and like relationship. What are you talking about? And then the whole kissing for like the bead, and he's like, now I will say that Tyray has some luscious lips. I mean, somebody should kiss him because they look great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I thick girls are it girls, you know. I enjoyed that, and he's had a variety of different types throughout this series, you know, like Hillary Clinton, I guess, also an
Mm-hmm.
it girl, you know. It's just like, which I guess, you know, women are it girls. You don't have to be, by the way, by nature, honey, we are. So anyway, at the same time, it's just interesting because yes, he his brothers, they their mindset is Tyray needs to get things off, like checked off his list. Like in their mind, it's almost like like in a medical way. This man needs an operation. He needs to be kissed. This man needs the procedure done. He needs to be fucked. So whoever provides that is like, you know, it could be like a machine, you know what I'm saying? And so they are not considering this man's emotional connection at all. They do not care about it, almost in the like stereotypical way that we think men, heterosexual men, don't care about it, because they really are just like, they've regressed back to like 21-year-olds like trying to get their best friend like fucked up at a bar, you know, where it's like, you're not drinking the best wine, you're not even drinking wine, you are drinking like, you know, 151 Goldschlager, where you're just like, get it done, kind of that kind of like get her done style thing. So it's unfortunate because it makes me feel like they haven't, as people, had enough connective conversations to understand that, like, Tyray might be a demisexual, you know, like, isn't demisexual like someone who like can't have sex until they've created an emotional bond? Have you heard of that before?
Yes, demisexual is, let me look it up. But yes, it might have something to do with the brain. Like you have to have
Create a
that kind of connectual with that.
a
So
connectual.
demisexual is a sexual orientation in which the individual does not experience sexual attraction, primary sexual attraction. The type of attraction that is based on immediately observable characteristics such as appearance or smell, and is experienced immediately after the first encounter. So yeah,
What?
it just
I like, sorry, for some reason that was confusing to me, and not just me. I'm sorry, go on.
people who identify as demisexual only feel sexual attraction to someone after they form strong emotional bond with them. So, meaning that they don't have a primary sexual attraction based on immediate observable characteristics such as appearance or smell.
Yeah. Do you think that what makes you can you isolate what turns you on or what attracts you to someone?
Um, Physical appearance usually coupled with a sense of humor. So today I went out and some guy was leaning at a bar and I like looked over and I noticed that he was like listening in on a conversation. So then I thought to myself, am I speaking too loud or is like my voice just like carrying naturally into his eardrums? Because sometimes that happens to me where I'm out and like I really can't hear anybody else except for a voice yonder, and I think it's because of the acoustics, the way that they're sitting and talking. It's like hitting off of a wall directly into my eardrums. So I thought maybe that was
Mm,
what was happening. But
mhm.
he had facial hair, check. He had like some kind of style going on, check. And then like he looked at me and we looked at each
Check.
other and like check. So then that's like the physical characteristics, right? So that made me interested in him. Then when I got then like hopefully if I were to speak to him, he would A have a deep voice, B
Oh.
he would laugh at whatever joke I made first, and then C he smelled good. So then that's okay. And then after that, like then we could talk about like his, what's he's doing in his life, what his goals are, how comfortable he is with life right now, like does he travel, and then that's another layer. So it's layers, but really it's like the I don't have a type. It's mainly about their confidence, their ability to hold a conversation, and their ability to give me the attention and or like back and forth that I require. So
Mm.
I'm not demisexual. That it doesn't only matter of their mind, but like after a while, it does kind of matter because all
Yeah.
the other stuff will fade away. But like yes, I do. Demisexual is like in there, but physical, I can look at somebody and be like, oh,
It's interesting because where he went wrong to me is when he finally had the balls. To me, the shot was, "You gotta do something for these beads." And when he said, "A kiss," and she said, "On the cheek," he should have been like and I think because it would have read if she was like, "No, I'm good," then she wouldn't have gotten her beads. When she I mean, he's it's a way of asking for a kiss without even asking because he is asking. If he had just said my lips or something, whatever, God bless, and she didn't want to, she didn't have to. She had asked, she did just no one's forcing her to kiss for beads. Then I think what she would have done was probably something like this. Like I think she would have been like, "Ah, okay." And I think that he would have gotten it. But she said cheek, and he was like, "Okay, cheek." And then when he had, like, Eeyore'd his way out of that moment, I was confused why they would then move to a different location, because for her to say cheek and for him to do that, it just, like, did not give the vibe of, like, a sexually charged, exciting vibe. They became kind of like friends that talked, about, like, what you're into, what your kind of person you are, like, it's unfortunate because it's hard for him to lead with like a sort of like confident, secure sexual tone because he doesn't feel that way. And so hopefully with time there'll be like a balance of him feeling minutely better about himself day by day and taking better care of himself. So I think that at some point there'll be like a little progression in his own like view of himself, and that will kind of level off. But I mean, I think that the minute that she said cheek and he was like, "Okay," I was like, "Ugh, put a fork in him, and the steak's done." Well
I
done.
thought
Mm-mm.
that he should not have asked her for the kiss for the bead in the first place. I felt like that was a little like inappropriate, as well as like I first I thought that the bead around him was like an actual gold chain. So it was like weird that he only had one bead, one
Yeah.
string of beads. And so it was just like it was a weird it felt like, oh, someone put that your brother or someone told you to put that around your neck so that you could have this moment while you were out to ask someone for a kiss. And I was like, no, then put more beads on or like make it a little bit more. I was like, ew. I didn't like the fact that he even asked her for a kiss for the beads
Wait, so,
because
like,
like they weren't
to
there
me, it read
yet to me.
New Orleans, but, like, like, he could have been like, Show me your tits." No, I mean, he wouldn't have said, "Show me your tits," but, like, they're in New Orleans, like, to get beads, the normal way to get beads is, like, 2 titties, honey, in the air. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
or pointing down below, as depending on your titties. I
Two flapjacks, honey, just flapping in the air. But honey, like no matter what kind of titties, if you show them, you're supposed to get beads. So like when she asked
Oh.
for a moment, I thought maybe she would like give him a little nippy noop, like a little like
Oh.
yeah, but no. So
So
oh
then you're
well.
right. She definitely then set that up and then was like, no, just a kiss on the cheek. But I would have just been like, yes, and then gave him a like done this. So like I don't know, like there's ways you could have done it, and I'm glad he didn't come off as a creeper. But his brothers really want him to come off as a creeper. They don't
They're crazy
understand that
because they
he
are
doesn't
creepers.
that they don't he doesn't have that confident energy. So anything he does will be like hit hit yeah, this is real cool over here hit. And then so I didn't understand why they were going back to the hotel just to simply dip their feet in the pool. I did
And drink
love the
out of
fact
cups and like weird like shot glasses and yeah, I know.
I did like the fact that when after she was like, "No," he was like, "Oh, I'll just face plant into this water." I
Yeah,
loved that.
me
I
too.
thought that was like, okay, good. Like he's getting the joke out of it. And she's
I
just
also
like,
thought that you'd like the dragon thing.
"Yes, I loved it." What's your
Yeah, like
favorite animal? A
a
dragon.
a dragon, a unicorn. I was like, mine's like a Shih Tzu puppy, obviously. A
I don't
puppy.
have a favorite animal, but it's so funny. Like I always want to say dolphin because I feel like that's what a lot of girls were in our Lisa Frank era. But like I don't have. There's no animal that I'm like, ooh, I need to have a picture of that, or like I need like that thing. Like no, 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 I don't have that.
Owls. Remember when people loved owls for a goddamn second? Like there was a whole owl movement.
There was an owl movement. There
Okay.
was. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Let's go to John. This John situation is just like
Hey Megan, guess
depressing.
what? Guess what? I feel like you're pulling away from me, and I don't really like it, and I feel it in my heart. So I'm gonna move to Texas. Okay, I'm gonna move. No, it's probably definitely gonna happen. All right, it's happening. I'm moving. I'm moving to Texas. You want me to do that or no?
I'm
You
packing
want
up
me to
my
do that?
car.
Yeah.
I thought
It's
about it, Megan. Texas Amy, Megan. And it turns out, what am I here for? And I'm just living with my different brothers as I don't have anything going. And so you're really the only thing that I have exciting in my day. So
yeah.
if you take that away from me, I'm gonna have absolutely nothing. And I'm on the show. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
people keep
he
saying that I don't know what I'm saying and don't know what I'm doing, but I do. So I'm gonna prove to them that I know what I'm saying, I know what I'm doing, and I want that future with you, Megan. So I'm gonna come and move there because they said not to. So I'm gonna do it because I'm an adult. It is so crazy. He's a wild person. So he's mad at Thais and Patrick, but he doesn't like come out and say it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Patrick and Thais are like, what
Yes.
is happening right now? No, you are chronically irresponsible. You no, no, no. You think, and then he's like, well, she was mad because you said all those things about me. And Patrick was like, no, she was mad because it was the truth. No, no, no. I didn't make anything up. And then Thais is leaning over and she's like, John, you're crazy. It doesn't make any no. And she's like patting this baby to sleep. Yeah, like Patrick and Thais are so confused.
Patrick, I think, gets to hear his brother, and there probably was like 6 years prior in his life where he would have said the same shit. Where I think for him to hear it come out of his brother's mouth and watch his face as he say it must be a really humbling experience for the inner work that Patrick had to do to like take himself from a place, because they all, it's a John, for whatever reason, feels stuck, right? It's almost like he hasn't advanced yet in like what feels like the trajectory of the human experience where you have like certain amounts of awareness and like want to be better. Like he just seems like he's floating from one easy situation to another. What?
Arrested Development is what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that he feels I think what happens also as one ages with this, it gets even more dire as you feel people progress wildly past you, and then in social situations with them, the void is too wide, and so that becomes wider, and it makes you feel less than, and then you start to make wild choices to jump from where you think you are to the next level, to like as if you can almost feel the end of the screen coming and you have to like make that. And so that's like it's So ungood couples, or I mean unhealthy couples, toxic situations. I mean, it's so interesting. So he yeah, he is like, why not? Why not go to Texas? What's keeping me in Vegas? Like a promise of Coke and brothers couches? Like, no, I'll just like move in with this woman who gives me a free house and kind of like a step up in life, and I'll do it. I mean, too bad. It's like Meghan, I don't think deserves this. Maybe, I mean, in the best situation, maybe my sweetness will give you, if I want to have them grace and compassion, maybe they'll come together in some sort of like bond that complements each other and makes them as a unit develop and grow a life together that serves them both. And I hope the child is okay.
You know, I think you're absolutely correct. He's like, "Don't listen to these dodos." She's like, "But no, your family's telling me that you don't want this." He's like, "You gonna listen to those dodos? I'll move if you still want. I'm coming, and we're gonna be together." It's just so crazy, and she's a fool too, right? Because she accepts that, as opposed to listening to what the people who know him say about him, pointing out the red
Of
flags.
course.
She listens to him as opposed to listening to her heart and everything else that's probably telling her that this is not a good idea. Now, what John does for work, I don't know, but he's also lived in Texas before. He's like, "Yeah, I lived in Dallas. I moved to San Antonio." Like so who knows?
Yeah, no, honey, we don't, but we'll see. I'll tell you that, we'll see. Okay, so move on to, who do you want, to Natalie, Debbie? Um, okay,
All
we'll
right, so
do, go ahead.
let's move on to Natalie. So we have a scene where Natalie and her mother are driving, and we don't know where they're going, but it's a little bit of a driving scene where there's some backstory. She's like, "Me and Mama, I have Mama. We're living in Los Angeles, no job, no man," and we she starts to give us just like information as to what's happening in her life currently. And then all of a sudden they dropped a bomb on us. They dropped the bomb of like, "So I decided to take my future in my own hands." And so we really think that she is about to kind of do something revolutionary and interesting for TV, and we want to really see Natalie step into her power. Um like we I mean,
Did you think that's gonna happen? Do you think it's gonna happen?
I'm still bowled over to the fact that she was like, "I'm gonna be a nun." Like I forgot that she was so religious. Like, remember when we first saw her? There's a whole scene of her in a church. I forgot that that person is this person. Just
She's a
desperate
vegan.
woman. This desperate woman who wants to be married so bad. It is the saddest. Natalie's situation, it to me is like so sad. I just feel bad for her that she can't think about herself outside of like her relationship to a man. Like she's not complete. She needs someone to heal her. All these things. And
That's true. She does
yeah.
feel those, and it's a little scary though, because it does feel like from what we've seen of Natalie, we all know that I don't think Natalie's, mom material on her own. She barely, we just got done having her tell Josh that she's here alone with nothing. And so it's like, if you are really feeling that you're on your own with nothing in this world, it's not the time to like bring on a dependent. It's just not. I mean, I don't think it is, like, so I think you have to have some sort of footing. I'm not saying you can't be a solo parent, but I don't, but she just literally was like, "Josh, I have nothing. I came here for you," like, so get something, like get your shit together, before you let's do this whole thing. So now having her mom at this fertility doctor, and Natalie's quick to be like, "I found the best fertility doctor in all of LA." I'm like, "So are we in Long Beach?" I'm not quite sure. And the doctor's like going through things, and she's like, "I'm 38." And the mom's like, "Yes, yes, you're 38, but like you can have a child at 55. You do sports. I've been seeing you to do the sports, honey, and like I'm happy you eat the chicken now because you used to be vegan, but yeah, I think that you need the protein." The mom is like in it. And then this part feels crazy. So he's like, she's just like, "Well, I want to make sure I have a good donor, and he's, "Well, okay. Well, we'll show you what that looks like. There's the people." And so this nice woman sits down and she's like, "Here are some profiles and what you get, which is baby pictures and like a beautiful essay and obviously information about their schooling." She's like, "You see, it's just a paper. It's not enough." And then I thought, did she come here to meet men that want to have kids? Like, did she in her mind think that this fertility doctor would be like, okay, now meet your donors, and they would be there live in real life? And then she'd be like, okay. And that Natalie would just have to blink her eyes with the eyeliner and then just be like, now, should we just leave this dumb place and you become my husband and we make baby real way? Like I almost feel like this was I don't know. But like when you said that she was going to take matters in her own hands and, like show us a journey, I mean, not one morsel of my body was like, is that happening? I knew that wasn't going to, I knew this was just the kind of like filler episode that involves an activity. Like the checking of the eggs is an activity, like because it requires the emotional aftercare of someone talking about what that means for them and all of the conversations about it. It's too easy. It's like a convention, you know?
Yeah, I was sad. I really just thought, and I didn't like the way that she walked out of that doctor's office as though, like, no, thank you. This is not good. This is not for me. And I was like, fuck you. Like, I guess just my experience with fertility and like a myriad of women who go through it. And I normally never infer or like get mad at people just based on whatever. But in this one, I was like, it just made it feel like she was kind of downing this whole process because for her, it was just a paper. And it's like, you knew what the fuck you were going there to do. And so that's what I didn't like. It's like, for me, when you go to a fertility clinic and you get your options about how donors and they provide all this service for you, which I did not have that service when I did my process. So I'm like, oh, okay. And then she's like, turns her nose up at it as though like, I still have time. And I'm like, well, maybe she does have her eggs like frozen. Maybe she does have a plan that we're just not aware of. And so this is like so far out of her like mindset that the idea of doing this is just so like, oh no, not for Natalie. But she's like, I gave 7 years of my life to Michael. I gave 3 years to Josh. I'm like, Josh wasn't real, first of all. Michael was, and you walked away from that. So I guess I just was having a hard time with that. And she's also very uncomfortable saying miscarriage because the way she told the doctor was like, it didn't work out. And I'm like, girl, this is a doctor. You could say miscarriage, but she'd also say, I lost the baby in her confessional. So I was just really confused. It all of a sudden she was very uncomfortable with this whole thing. And I think that's when I was like, I don't like this. I want somebody who's comfortable and who's going to be respectful of this process, just for me. Maybe I gleamed into it too much, though, for real.
I can see why we can take things personally, but just knowing Natalie, she would never be good for this, and I never expected it to happen. And she, of course, is like needy, and of course, she like wants to be with a man. Of course, Natalie also. The thing about Natalie, which is also icing on the cake, is that Natalie 100% thinks she is so gorgeous and so sexy and so emotionally lovely and mature and warm and capable and giving. She thinks she is all of these things, again, with such beauty, with eyes that pierce through people's souls, that she can't, in a body like the devil could make, that she does not understand how all of that exists in the world and men do not bow at her feet. So to her, to not have admirer donors just waiting to have a Natalie baby is like beyond her mind, like beyond it. And like, which I love, like I do love that. It's one of the best characteristics she has that makes her watchable on this show, and which is, so having said that, if all of this was to give her a reason to have what's going to happen next happen, which is the scenes, which is, of course, Michael comes, the return of Michael. I could see the producers really story mapping this along the way. I mean, I guess Josh did enough. I am a little upset. Like, so she's not going to be in the horror movie. We're not going to see that. Okay, that's my only thing. Like, wouldn't you have loved to?
I mean, I've seen a lot of people in really bad movies that never made it anywhere in my life as an actor in Los Angeles. And so like, I just wasn't ready for this.
Oh, side note, as I'm going to go to the nice last couple, is Libby's sister, Becky or Buki, I forgot which one of them. She was in some horrible YouTube filmed on iPhone, but not like Tangerine kind of movie that someone made that is just unwatchable. I can't remember what it is. I think I posted it
Speaking
so
of
long ago.
speaking of unwatchable, within the last 2 hours, I tried to watch Mia Culpa on Netflix, Tyler Perry's Mia Culpa starring Kelly Rowland, and I mean, like, I need to put it on when okay, I don't even know. It's not good. She's bad. She's bad.
Mhm.
And then like the characters are so polarizing. It's like crazy. And then I also started watching This Is Me Now by J Lo, which is
I'm mad.
I
I want
didn't
to watch
know
it with
what
you.
I
I'm
didn't
so
know
mad.
I didn't know what it was. Like I went to brunch with my neighbor and my neighbor was like, "Have you watched it?" And I was like, "No, isn't it a movie?" She's like, "No, no, no. It's like a movie musical." And I was like, "Oh, like so it's original like what is it original play?" And she's like, "No, no. It's a music video, sorry." And I was like Moonwalker?" And she was like, "I haven't seen Moonwalker." I was like, "Oh, okay." So she's like, "No, it's just like her next album. It's just like a full." And I was like, this entire time I thought it was a straight up movie. So I watched like the first and the second, and then they started like one of the third scenes had something with like shibari knots, and I was like, I don't like when they bring kink stuff into like mainstream and then try to make it seem like it makes any sense. And then some of the imagery were like abusive, and I was like, I don't like it. But it's bad. Now I do disagree. She can dance. Moving on to
Debbie.
Debbie. Uh Julian. First of all, word on the street is that Julian is not Latino, as I surmise. He is like
Mm-mm.
Taiwanese.
Yep.
And then secondly, and I think you're the one who told me that maybe then. Then
No, a
secondly,
comment. A comment from
oh, okay.
Patreon.
Okay. Then secondly, thank you, Patreon. Secondly, yo, he is he I want to see Deborah's reaction to when she realizes what he's done.
Tell her
He's
business.
he is wrong for that.
Yeah.
And he knew Ruben didn't know. And he didn't stop himself. He
Yeah.
completely sabotaged her
Yes.
in a very unkind way. Like it didn't feel like it was coming from a place of love. It felt like it was coming from a place, and it may be, but like I'm like, oh, whoever he's married to or in a relationship with, they're in for a world of trouble because Julian doesn't have any tact or any like. He threw his mother under the bus. I don't know. What do you
I
have to say?
agree. I just got done. I'm like done with. I took like a long time to finish the Britney book for some reason. I just did, and it almost felt like that's not your place. You can't tell someone's like business. This is your mother. She's a grown ass woman. Like whatever she wants to do. Like like she's not giving. I understand. Like okay, well a lot of things. We can talk about
What
this
does the Britney book have to do with it?
because it feels like he's overstepping his boundaries of like someone's own personhood and womanhood and in the relationships, which is like
Oh,
his mother.
did Britney do that to someone, or did someone do that to Britney?
Someone did that to Britney.
Oh, okay.
So, her family. So, basically, we start and they're spray painting a house, like, and Julian's like, "Are we allowed to spray paint? Are the owners here, given the spray paint, okay? Have they consented to the spray paint?"
This is
Like
not your
he's,
jurisdiction. This is not your jurisdiction. Don't worry about it.
like his mom is there, Ruben's there with like those glasses and that hat, and
That shirt.
she this is where it gets a little interesting because Debbie's like, I'm just gonna let them talk and I'm gonna do my own thing over here with the spray paint. Like you're like, well, I wouldn't trust that. That is when Julian goes crazy wild and is like going in at him. And it's interesting again because he's like, well, she's here talking about, what's gonna happen and she's gonna have to move to Miami. And then, of course, Ruben, who started the conversation being like, I would love you to move to Miami, and then having Debbie be like, well, Ruben, I always jump into things, so I can't do that anymore. And him to be like, I know, so don't do it. So yeah, I'm so happy we're going slow. What you have to think about is how slow we're going. And then he does the same thing to Julian. Now Julian gets a little of Ruben being like, I just care so much about my parents, so we can really bond about that, which gives him some pause, but he lets it be known, that her relationship was out of country, Morocco, that yes, he was 24, and dropped the bomb for all of us that she's still giving him money, his family money. That
That
part, is the pause. And that's where you have to deal with your mom and not be like controlling this situation with nothing to do with that, you know?
Yes, he really, really overstepped the boundaries, and it made me embarrassed for her because that was way out of line. It's like he doesn't want her to be happy. That's what it felt like. Because any rational person would think to before they said something so embarrassing. Now, I mean, maybe Ruben, like he might assume Ruben knew because it was on TV, right? It's not like it was a secret. She fully filmed something that's on TV, so maybe Ruben is a 90 Day Fiance fan. But as soon as he said, she moved to Morocco to be with this 24-year-old, and you see Ruben's face go, that is when he should have been like, I just, she made a mistake. She thought she really loved that person. That's when he should have switched it and been like, oh my God, he didn't know. I can't
Or
just
this
like,
is really not my place to say, so I'll let her continue.
yeah. But even like he thinks it's his place. So we
Yeah,
can't,
I
let's
know.
throw that out. The fact that he realized Ruben didn't know and then he doubled down and was like, yeah, yeah, like she's crazy. Yeah, this is what she also did. Then she's doing this, and now she's still sending the family money and like all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, he didn't even fucking know about the family to begin with. So why are you trying to sabotage poor Debbie? Like it just felt like really I was disappointed in him and kind of disgusted, and like now I don't like him because I felt like he's not in his mother's corner.
I get what you're saying. Wasn't it interesting though? This whole time we're like, Debbie, loving that Latin flavor. Debbie can't stop talking about liking dark men. Just to have Ruben be like, I'll tell you what I love about your mom. Her light eyes, her blonde hair. Love light eyes and blonde hair. You're like, oh, all right. Well, everyone has their preferences, I guess. All right, my loves. That's really the end of the episode, but I'm excited to see what happens next week again because I said Michael's back. Ha ha ha. And we also didn't have Veronica and Jamal, and we
Thank
didn't have
God.
Chanel,
Chantel.
Chantel, and so it really was an easy, quick episode.
Yeah, it was great.
Mhm.
But if you guys want to see the visuals of what you're listening to, you can join us on patreon.com/docusweeties for only $10 a month. We've got exclusive content like a live every first Monday of the month. And currently we are doing Love is Blind on our Patreon exclusively. So if you're interested in that content, please go on ahead and sign up at patreon.com/docusweeties. But if you can't do that, Chris will tell you ways that you can. Chris.
Please go to our Instagram and Please go to our Instagram and type in at DocuSweeties. We're at DocuSweeties there. We're on TikTok. We're at DocuSweeties1 on X. We have a Facebook group, the DocuSweeties Podcast Facebook group. If you haven't given us 5 stars yet, I would do it. Other than that, thank you so much for listening.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.